Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Yeah, that's it.
Yo, Lil B, what's up?
What's up, bro? Good to
Yeah,
finally talk to you.
it's sick. Yeah, I was telling my girlfriend last night. I started watching some of your old videos again because when I first started tattooing, I watched the one where you make that machine out of the um just junk out of the trash,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember watching it and just
How
thinking,
long ago did you start tattooing?
13 years ago.
13 years ago. Fuck, bro. I made this video a long ass time ago, huh?
That was about 8 years ago, I think.
Times fly.
What happened with you haven't been making any videos?
I've been making a lot of videos lately, but I started doing it on a French channel, you know?
Oh,
So yeah, so I'm actually dropping 2 videos a week.
in French.
So in French. So I've been making more videos than I ever did before, but I just shifted gear.
Yeah,
Yeah. So so it's pretty much starting from scratch because the YouTube channel in English had a fairly good following.
yeah,
And yeah, I just like kind of I don't know, it fade away, I didn't really have too much fun doing videos on that channel anymore. And it was also focused like really oriented into like black and gray style tattooing.
yeah.
And because I kind of shifted gear at some points, I just felt like we got to start fresh, so
Yeah,
I'm not afraid of a new challenge.
yeah. It's almost like a different period, isn't it? It's like
Hmm.
the old you.
Yeah, bro, because I receive a lot of messages from people asking me to go back to that mode a little bit, of doing this type of videos. And but my life has really changed. I started doing this YouTube channel. I was probably like 19 years old. I was living in USA. I was a fresh new tattooer. And I started to do these videos because my life was a trip. I thought, I was this French guy living in USA with one of my best friend, and pretty much we were illegal in the States and just like learning how to tattoo. And I don't know, like if you looked at all the aspects of my life, it looked like it seemed that I was designed to fail, but tattooing was this thing that was just carrying my friend and I to a different type of life where we had that freedom, we were making money, meeting a bunch of people. And I was so grateful for the experience I was having of making a living of something that I love doing, getting to share it with my best friend, being in another country. And it's just so I couldn't believe it. So I was like, we have to document this because maybe that can motivate other people to do the same with tattooing or with something else. So that's why we started to do these videos. And back then, I don't know if you ever seen these, but we had this thing called the show. So we were like filming a bunch of different shit, and that was like a stage of my life. Now
Yeah,
I'm a little bit older. I've been tattooing for a while. My life has changed. I live in a different country. I'm married. There's a bunch of shit that are different. So I cannot just recreate the same videos because I'm a different stage of my life and my career.
yeah. Do you find I find with myself now, I've almost made myself do the same kind of thing every time I make a video because I'll make one and I'll feel like while I'm making it that's working, and then I look at my stuff and I think, oh, I've made 5 videos that are almost like the exact same kind of layout, and like you'd edit it the same, and it doesn't feel fun anymore to video it. It
Hmm.
almost feels like you're documenting it in a way that's like, um, I don't know, it doesn't feel like authentic to me. So I stopped making videos for about 6 months because I was just
Yeah,
over
I
it.
saw that, bro, that you stopped. Honestly, bro, I'll say something. First of all, your video kind of motivated me to make some videos again, to be honest with you, because I thought it was super refreshing how you didn't really had nothing fancy about it. And that's what I'm looking for, when I look at videos. I'm not a huge um consumer of like super sophisticated content.
Yeah,
So when I don't know how randomly I think you tagged me on a story or something like that, and then I started investigating your YouTube channel, and I was like, "Fuck yeah," you know. And I started to watch all the videos, and so what I'm doing in the French channel is pretty much whatever you're doing, you know, where I'm no longer, I'm not adding music, I'm not doing like fancy cuts. It's just, you know, I grew up doing skateboarding, so it's kind of like the what they call the raw footage, you know. It's
Yeah,
just like dumping them in the timeline and exporting them.
yeah,
And to say, I think what you said, you know, you feel like the videos are kind of the same is because realistically, if you're a very dedicated tattooer, I mean, you're doing the same thing days in, days out, you know, it's the same shit day after day. That's what gets you good at what you're doing is just practicing the craft. And I think nowadays with social media, or maybe like, you know, this TikTok and reels on Instagram and whatnot, you know, we want to make it look like it's super fancy every day. But the reality of it is that I mean, in my case, every morning I fucking wake up, I draw for the day, I go to the studio, greet my client, and just like get to work, you know, and you
mm,
just try to bang tattoos, you know. And then at night I'm done, I go to work out, and I'm just repeating the same cycle over and over. And that's how we evolve. So for me, looking at your videos, I find it super inspiring because I'm like, yo, this guy is putting work, you know, and
yeah,
there's nothing fancy about it, but I want to see the tattoos evolve. I want to see you like working and putting different projects out, and you explaining, giving a little bit of backstories. And I don't even mind, you know, when you're running the machines and we don't really clearly understand everything you're saying, but it's just cool to me. I'm like, feels like I'm in the shop with you. So
yeah,
um but the thing that helps me like in the new videos I'm doing is because I'm here in Japan, and I have one of my best friend with me and my wife. We get to do a lot of activities and also mix it out with a little bit of workout and food, which make it a little bit more, you know, easy to watch maybe, you know,
yeah,
for like the mainstream people.
yeah,
But for pure tattooers, I mean, I love the videos, you know, you're doing. So
yeah. That's how I thought about it, and I had a mission at the start of the year. I was going to do a video every day because
mhm,
when I watched your videos so long ago, I had my first tattoo shop in my hometown, and I was 23, and I videoed things then, but I would never put myself out there. And I would watch your videos.
mhm,
You would be like, "Come on, everyone! Like, you know, this isn't about anything but being positive and learning and growing and stuff." And you
mhm,
always had like a really good message. And I was like, maybe a bit too anxious with myself to like film everything and put it out. But now I feel like what I'm like as a tattooer, what I'm filming, I know it's all good. It's like the work's like it's work, you know. When you look at the big bodies of work, you know it took a long time. It's
mhm,
not just a palm
mhm,
sized tattoo. It's like, you know, I don't try and make it so it looks really shiny or anything. It's just like actually going to work, and I don't edit it because I feel like editing it is to try and make it better than what it really is, and I
mhm,
don't need to
mhm,
do that anymore. Like I feel like what I make genuinely is good, so it makes me more confident to make videos. And you know, I get messages from people that are like, oh wow, like, you know, I feel like you're more approachable now because the like a photo on your Instagram where you look cool with all the tattooed people or whatever, it's intimidating for
mhm.
some people. And then when they watch a video and they see how you speak and your demeanor, and similar to yourself, you know, like I feel like I already have spoken to you because I watched your videos for so long, you know.
Mhm,
So we're on
mhm,
this phone call,
mhm.
and you may be the same, you know. Yeah,
Yeah, and I think also it's very rare in the internet to see like people that do traditional style of tattooing actually doing videos,
yeah,
because for some reason, I don't know, I think maybe more of the traditional like tattoo scene, they look down upon this type of things, like doing videos, putting yourself out there. And I, in my sense, it's a big mistake. You know, it's a big mistake because all right, if you're just like a cornball and you're trying to act some sort of ways, you know, on the internet, then I understand it. But if you're just someone that genuinely just try to share the work and perhaps have the opportunity to maybe send some sort of positive message out there, I think one, it's great because you can somehow, you know, contribute to help some people. and also it's good, it's a good for you because like you said, you know, you show it to people like, okay, I'm that way, and if you want to, this is the type of work I do, and if you want to get this type of work, come in, you know. So I think for me it also brought me a lot of clients, you know,
Yeah.
to put myself out there just to kind of break the ice, and people realize that, oh, okay, it's just like a regular ass guy
Yeah.
that just with his friends and at the shop, and actually it's accessible to come get tatted, and that, you know what I'm saying, like. So I think in that sense it's very good to do these videos.
Mm.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of like bullshit when it comes to like tattoo videos on the internet
Mm.
also, you know.
Yeah,
So it's a
you would have
thin
got
line that you have to.
you would have got a lot. I remember you did the like how to tattoo a straight line kind of video, and I remember watching that with a friend when he first started tattooing, and he was watching you,
uh
and I'm a
uh-huh.
traditional tattoo artist, and you were outlining like just different to how I would outline, and he was
Yeah,
watching
yeah.
it and telling me like, oh, this is how you outline and whatnot, and I was just like, that's how he outlines, you know, because some people will get in the comments and be like going crazy in the comments, but that's
Yeah,
almost
I remember, bro, like, yeah, this video, like, people went crazy, but the craziest thing is that I think maybe I didn't have enough, I didn't put this video well. It wasn't well put together, basically, because I should have said this is how I outline to do fine line black and gray, you know.
yeah,
Because when I do a goddamn Japanese back piece, I don't outline like this at all. Like it's just like
no,
fucking pulling big ass outlines, you know.
yeah,
But that's the danger with internet, because sometimes in your head it's clear, you know what message you want to put out there, but then because I guess some people they
interpret it.
perceive it their own way, you know. So you got to be careful. That's why I don't do any type of videos like this anymore, you know.
Yeah, they're controversial.
For real, bro. Like
But
any
sometimes that's what
touchy
people need.
tattoo subject, I don't touch them. Yeah, yeah, bro. I mean, like realistically, the more controversial you are, the more views you're gonna generate. And I could see, you know, when sometimes I was dabbling into doing videos that are a little bit more YouTube-esque, you know, like, oh, I bought the cheapest Amazon tattoo machine, or I did this and that. I mean, definitely you get so much more views.
Mm,
But then one of the reasons too why I stopped doing this fairly fast is because I thought about it. I was like, bro, I'm not a fucking meme, you know. I'm not a clown, you know. I gotta do things that I actually enjoy to do and that I would like to watch. So
yeah,
that's why the one that where I was going to the junkyard and I built a tattoo machine, I thought that one was really cool because you know there's no, it wasn't gimmicky, you know.
yeah.
But the other stuff, you know, I
It was actually like
mhm.
something that people would talk about. You know how people always say, "Oh, my friend got a tattoo in jail," or you know, they made a tattoo machine, a home tattoo machine. You actually did it all and proved it, and did a good tattoo with it. So
Mhm.
that for
Yeah.
some people is like unimaginable to see the whole process. You know, it's cool.
And it was cool too because you know I learned tattooing in Southern California with homies, you know.
Yeah,
So guys that like got out of prison, and that's the thing they were like showing me and talking to me about, you know, when I first started tattooing.
yeah,
So it was like, let's try to see if I can do it myself as well, you know. And when I was living out there, actually, the area I was living in, you know, is pretty goddamn ghetto, you know. So it was a lot of like gang members, and the guy that put me under his wing, they were all part of that environment.
yeah.
So I got to see a lot of that type of work. That
I mean,
guys that will come out of prison after a few years and they'll have like fucking full chest plates, all done with prison style tattoo machines, and
yeah,
guitar string for like you know, like a needle, and it looked super neat to me. I was like, wow, how's this guys like pumping crazy as work like this from there, you know. So
yeah. How long were you living there for?
7 years. So I
7 years.
moved to California when I was just turned 18 years old, and I stayed there for 7 years,
Yeah,
and I picked up tattooing out there, you know.
yeah. And then you went back to France.
Then eventually I moved back to France because shit got too hot for me. You know, I can't discuss about all these things, you know, more
Yeah, yeah.
privately because
That's
don't
fine.
want to put it in the internet.
And then you went to
But
Japan.
so yeah, so then so because I couldn't travel before then, you know, the moment I left USA, I was able to travel all around the world. And you know, I was really lucky to have this following, you know, of people that are willing to get tatted. And I realized that these people weren't afraid to take a plane from me wherever I was in the world.
Yeah.
So this is when I was like, bro, this is amazing. I get to travel everywhere. I get to take my friends with me, and I get paid for it because people come meet me to get tatted, and then I can stay in the country for an extra 2 3 weeks and just we can enjoy ourselves. So we started to travel everywhere, and one of the first country that I went to was Japan. And I came here, and I was like, fuck, bro, like this. I fell in love with the country, the culture. I always loved Japanese culture because at a very young age I started doing judo, so I was always into martial art.
Yeah.
And I was kind of I never liked Japan through the door of anime or manga. I never cared about that side of Japanese culture. I still don't care about it, but
Yeah.
I always loved the more martial arts, the kind of like, I don't know, like the paintings, the architecture, all
Yeah.
this type of things. So
Old
when I
school
came,
stuff.
yeah,
So
so
like
when I
older, it's not just like all the new age Japanese culture stuff.
right,
Young kids is all anime and stuff. You're right.
yeah, I wasn't really too much into the pop culture of side of Japan. I was more into the old stuff and martial art. And when I came here, it hit me in the face. I was like, damn, you know, like,
Yeah.
so that's why I kept coming a lot to Japan.
What made you change up and go to Japanese?
Well, like Japanese art was always something I really loved. I always thought the bodysuits looked so sick, and I always kind of wanted to get into it. But to be fair, you know, like I tell you, I learned tattooing with some homies, you know, that got off prison and that were themselves kind of learning as well.
Yeah.
And it was more like trying to figure it out myself. And I was a product of my environment. So I was living in the hood, and then I was surrounded by like cholos pretty much. And I wasn't gonna be like, oh, let me do some of these Japanese thing, you know, like I just picked up what was around. So I started to do a lot of lettering, a lot of like clown girls, a lot of like very Chicano style, basically, you know.
Yeah.
And then eventually, when my skills improved, I got the opportunity to work at Lowrider Tattoos with Jose Lopez. I don't know if you know what
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is, you
Yeah.
know. And he was doing a lot of more statues and stuff like that. It took it like to a different type of level, I will say, you know. He kept the very strong Chicano style, but he moved to more European style of art. And I was like, oh shit, I can do that too. And you know, like I started to do like more of these European statues and try to mix all influences that I have, you know, like with the more single needle and the Chicano style, and then doing more of a European flavor to it, but keep it very sharp. And because European realism, it's very, very loose, like all mag, and I wasn't too attracted by this. But then eventually, you know, I started to come to Japan, and I was thinking to myself, like, okay, now it's time to really study, because I understood that you cannot get into Japanese style and have a superficial understanding of that type of tattooing, you know. I didn't want to do it that way. I understood that I had to do a lot of study before I get into it. So at first I just started to gather a lot of books, study ukiyo-e a lot, look at all Japanese tattooing. Then it takes a while for you to really understand like how it works and who's the tattooers that are active, who are the tattooers that really influenced Japanese tattooing. So just the time to understand who's who and who's doing what, and what type of different styles there is and stuff. It took me maybe like 2 3 years of just purely observing before I even started like painting or drawing.
Yeah.
And then eventually I started to paint, but kind of on my own, you know, it was hidden. So I wasn't showing anything, you know, I was kind of painting and drawing,
Yeah.
but more for myself. And eventually I started to share a little bit like the paintings and drawings I was doing. And then when COVID hit, it put like all my black and gray activities down, because I was working mostly out of France and I was touring all around the world. But like all borders were shut down. So nobody could enter in France, and 90% of my clientele was from North America. So I couldn't, French people, they wasn't getting tatted by me. It's not very popular of a style here.
Yeah.
I mean, over there in France. And so I ended up being stuck for nearly a year, you know. And that time, instead of kind of being a victim about it. I was like, okay, this is the window I have to really be super focused on painting and trying to pump up Japanese work. Then I did my friend Nico, I did his leg sleeve, and I did some other friends. I started to do some back pieces, and it was just like all personal work that I wasn't charging for it. I was just like trying to paint and trying to do like bigger scale like Japanese work.
Yeah.
And one thing led to another. I started to have like people inquiring to get Japanese work from me. And I started to branch out slowly, and I don't know, bro. Then you turn around and it's like 3, 4 years went by, and now I'm like doing Japanese work every day.
Yeah.
It's pretty
It's
pretty crazy how it went.
it's really cool to see because I see a tattoo artist. I actually have never met him. I know a bunch of guys that have been tattooed by him though. Dan Santoro, he'll be in your comments like flaming you and shit. And he
Bro, is my guy.
tattooer and he kind of has flipped his whole career. I saw his account.
Mm-hmm.
He'd gotten rid of all of his traditional tattoos and now he's just
Mm-hmm.
doing Japanese. And that
Mm-hmm.
was the thing that I looked at and I saw you two talking and I was kind of like, that's cool, like people that are not afraid to like change things up a bit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I talk quite a bit with Dan Santoro, and it's kind of crazy because I used to watch the video. I discovered him when I was a young tattooer in the Vice video.
Yeah,
And for some reasons, out of all the Vice videos, this guy like stood out for me. I was like, damn, like I recognized a lot of myself in him,
yeah,
how he was obsessed, and how he's you can tell like his mind, and how he was just like killer style and super obsessed. And I was like, damn, this guy is awesome. So I used to even though I was doing fine line black and gray, bro, and I had this kind of image of just doing that fine line style of tattooing. And I will say like by the more traditional tattoo artist scene, you're not really considered as a real tattooer when you do that style. But even though I was like doing that style, bro, I was really looking and watching a lot of like traditional tattooing or Japanese tattooing.
mm,
And Dan is someone that I got really inspired by. And then I don't know how, like we started to talk to each other because basically he was trying to also like merge into doing more like wabody style, you
yeah,
know. And he was telling me, he was like, all I want to do is wabody. And I was like, bro, that's awesome, man. And you can see he's not afraid of committing to like that style. And like you said, he removed all the classic American style out of his page, and now he's doing all this crazy Japanese style with, like, you can really see his personality through it too, which
yeah,
is super cool.
mm,
Definitely, like I'm gonna meet with him in the future. Next time he comes to Japan. Or
yeah. That's cool, man. Because I think maybe for myself, that was like when I was only doing the single shot, like palm sized tattoos, and then I started incorporating like
hmm
the backgrounds and things to make them all come together.
hmm
That was a thing where I was looking at Japanese tattoos and like old Sailor Jerry tattoos, and it wasn't so much like just single pieces under each other, like stacked on top. It was like
uh-huh,
almost
uh-huh,
like a Japanese bodysuit with like twin bars and stuff.
uh-huh.
But it doesn't really have any background in the sense of like it's kind of like traditional tattooers just saw Japanese tattoos and started working on their clients that already had tattoos, filling it in like that. So
hmm
it's
hmm
kind of funny to
I love your work, by the way, bro. Like I think you're really onto something, like you said. I think what makes you stand out from everybody else, well, as far as what I see, is how you collapse all the tattoos together. I
yeah,
think you have this very, like you said, you have this very, very nice way to bring everything together, which make it look like a bodysuit. And
yeah,
it's very
yeah,
rare to see this with like this traditional style, that you make it look like a bodysuit, which I think is super appealing. And
yeah,
it's good, it's refreshing to see you pumping work like this because I don't know, like I feel like you're in when you have like all these in your videos, when you have like 2 3 persons like wearing your work, and it from afar, it looks like goddamn bodysuits. I'm like, this is so sick, like
yeah,
because I was mostly used to see that look with Japanese style, or you know, like the Polynesian style. But it's something that I never really got into. Or like fine line black and gray, you can see guys with bodysuit, but it's not quite the same. It's not as heavy, you know,
So
of a
the
look, you know.
casual, yeah.
Yeah, it's you got to look at it from a like it's a different way to look at it, you know. But it's I don't think it's that heavy.
Mm.
But the work you do, it really has like that humph, you know, that weight, like a Japanese bodysuit, you know, I feel. And I something that I feel like you're onto something, bro. You gotta keep pushing that work like that. It's super sick.
Yeah, I've got the photo that we had last year of all the back pieces and fronts out the front of my shop. There was 16 people last year, and then this year we have 20 people, like 20 new people.
But bro, how satisfying is this? Like when you have all these guys
But it only
like
works
laying like
because our area, I'm like nearly 2 hours from a major city, and then all the clients
mhm.
here, they they're just committed because there's not a lot to do here, and it's affordable to live here. So it's not too expensive to like live. So you can get tattooed more often,
Mhm.
and that's the thing when I talk to other people in the city, they're just like, oh, it's kind of like impossible to get people to be so committed because they don't like live close either. Like every one of my clients lives maybe a 5 minute drive from the shop. So
Yeah, and to get back to what you said earlier, you say like, oh, I feel like my videos are I wasn't having fun, it's kind of boring, it's always the same thing. But bro, like to do such a large body of work, you can't be like fucking around every day and try to have like, you know, it's just literally you got to show up and just put in the work. There's no secret.
yeah,
People that have a large body of work, no matter what style they're doing, there are people that are pretty much live and breathe tattooing. Like they just they're in the shop, you know,
yeah,
and they just work a lot. So there's no secret, you know. Also, when I was traveling too much, I think when I started to travel too much, I felt like I was kind of deluding myself in a way because I couldn't complete any large work because I was just always in different spots in the world, you know.
mm,
And then when you come back to one place, you get to work on some work that you started a while ago, and it's not really matching your headspace anymore, or everybody wants to get in at the same time, but you don't have a lot of time in that one place. So in the end, you don't even complete any big works. That's why now I'm just going back and forth between France and Japan. And even that, sometimes I'm like, bro, like I just feel like staying in Japan pretty much full time at this point, you know.
yeah. For what you're doing now, it makes more sense, right?
Yeah, it's because each time you change country too, you gotta readjust different type clients, different types projects, and
Mm,
I don't know. I do feel like here I'm in Okinawa and I work with a lot of American military, and in a way, it's perhaps it's similar to you because these guys they 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 get paid. They don't spend a lot of money because a lot of things is covered for them, you know, and they consistently get paid. And life over here in Okinawa is really cheap, especially they get paid in dollars and they can live in yen.
yeah,
And so all they have to do is like pretty much go get tatted. That's how they spend their money. So for me, it's the perfect client because they come to get large work and they come every other week,
yeah,
you know. When I'm in France, it's very different, you know. Like people, it's a little bit rougher out there. There's not so much money.
mm,
To them, tattooing feels super expensive. So they always try to, you know, they press you a little bit to get the work done, you know, faster, or
yeah,
how can you make it cheaper kind of deal. And they don't come nowhere, like it's nowhere near as often as the American, you know.
yeah. Well, I think the stuff that you're doing at the moment's like some of the best Japanese I've seen in a while. So good. Looks
Nah, bro, no way, you know. I'm like really a beginner in this thing, you know, like I'm just I'm getting started with it, you know, like honestly, like the real the I'll say like most of the real dudes out there doing the craziest Japanese, they probably not even none, you know. So
you know,
they're so underrated, you know, like the,
Do you know Matt
tell
Mooney?
me. Yeah, from Australia.
Yeah, so Matt Mooney tattooed me. I'm good friends with him, and we talked about you one
That's
time.
sick.
Yeah,
Really, yeah.
he
I
Lil
like
B's
his work,
doing
man. This guy is
Japanese
like
now.
doing large work. Huh?
He was like, "You see, Lil B's doing Japanese now." Like this is a few years ago, and I was like, "Yeah, that guy's so good. You know, he can do anything." Like I feel like you could just do whatever style you want to study,
Thank you, bro.
and you could work it out. You know, that's a skill to have because some people aren't adaptable to change, especially between styles.
Thank you,
Because
bro.
Matt Mooney can do black and gray realism, neo traditional, and Japanese. So he used to do like realism bodysuits and neo traditional body.
Uh-huh. Yeah, bro, you can tell he's like a tattoo freak, bro, because his application is impeccable. His
Mm,
style, you can tell he really has like a very strong style. You can recognize his work right away.
yeah,
And yeah, I mean, like you can tell he's one of these guys that can do everything. Because when you used to, if when I was looking at his older works, it was totally different and it was so well done.
yeah,
I was like, this guy is like, he's super good.
yeah,
Uh, in my case, bro, honestly, I don't really feel like it's natural to me. I just have a very strong work ethic and discipline,
yeah,
and that's how I get around things. But it's not something that comes natural, you know.
yeah,
It's just like I work really hard and I get into something and I'm pretty obsessive. So when I get into something, I just like yeah, I'm obsessive about it. You know, Japanese tattooing, I'm super focused. I try to draw paint, observe a lot.
yeah,
But yeah, like but I just want to make clear, you know, like like I'm such a beginner in that style, you know, like
yeah,
is
you,
they're like there are so many guys out there that have been doing this thing for 20 years here in Japan. There are guys that don't even have Instagram and they're just crushing it,
yeah,
or they have Instagram but they're so humble and they they yeah, they just care about the work. They just care about their customers and the work. And these guys I use a lot as a reference, you know, to get inspired. And I look at their work a lot. Or
yeah.
and then you also have like foreigners that live in Japan and that do like crazy work. Like there's this guy called Hiko. I don't know if you know.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, man. He lives in Iwate, super countryside of Japan. He's a Brazilian guy that's he I believe he's married, or I don't know if he's married, but he his lady is a Japanese woman, and they both do her name is Shion, and they both do Japanese style, and it's wonderful to watch their work because their work you can see they're in tune, they're in the same direction, and
Yeah,
this guy is doing the craziest body suits and he's been doing this for years and years, and he's just there in this remote part of Japan and just pumping out work. And you know, it's like one like this type of guy inspires me a lot too, because you're like, damn, like don't care about the spotlight, you know, just care about the work.
yeah.
It's awesome, you know.
Just commitment to doing it regardless of attention or anything. Yeah, it's really hard to.
Right, bro, like I think this type of profile, I mean, like someone like Hiko, I think really truly don't care, you know, about being in the spotlight. He really cares about his customers and doing the best work he can, and probably like just enjoying himself doing it, you know.
Yeah,
And you can see it, you know, when you see the body of work that he has, you're like, damn, that's it looks so authentic, you know.
yeah,
And it's really cool. And then and it's not to talk about like all the Japanese masters out here in Japan that most of them I think they don't even understand the dynamics of social media and the power of it. I mean, they just care about like being good craftsmen, you know. So they just do awesome work, and the rest they don't really care about it. And bro, there are guys in Gifu, there are guys that like it's a prefecture in Japan, it's pretty countryside too. There are guys that do all work by hand, and they have like such a, a beautiful style. And I don't know, man. I think it's too bad that not so many people get to see their work, you know. But at the same time, I'm kind of glad because I feel it's a little bit hidden, and you have to like look for it, you know.
yeah,
And once you find it, it's like it's like a fucking nugget, you know. Like,
yeah. it's kind of
I get a gold, you know.
it's like a gem that not everyone gets to, not so accessible. You kind of have to be in the know to find it. It's not
That's right. It's like the books, bro, like hunting for books. I spent a lot of money buying books and hunting, looking for them. I don't know, like I think for profiles maybe like us, it's very important to be able to navigate in between digital and also analog, you know. So and I mean in all platforms, like so for me, I try to understand the dynamics of social media just because I think it's the best way for me to get customers. So as a result, I get to do the work that I want to do, you know,
yeah,
because I'm trying to think like how can I introduce them to the work so they want to get that type of work. So I that way I don't do commercial tattooing. I just do the tattoos that I want to do
yeah,
and they feel happy about it. But at the same time, I try to really, really keep myself with one strong foot in the analog version of things where I buy a lot of books. I study a lot tattooing. I do a lot of like painting, you know, like so it's back and forth between like what's modern and what we have to the tools we have to utilize. So I have nothing against the iPad or like using Instagram, but at the same time I try to also like stay in touch and tap in with more of like the historical side of tattooing and study all the aspects of what was done before us, you know,
yeah.
to kind of preserve it and study it because I think the true essence is there, you know.
Mm,
I don't know.
definitely.
I think you probably do the same thing.
Yeah, definitely. I've had the same kind of thing. My mentor here, he'd been tattooing for almost 45 years. So
Wow.
he was really good. He had met like almost every like person you'd seen in an old photo, like Bob Roberts and like I'm trying to think who else. He went to America a lot in the early 90s and 80s and stuff. So for Australia and where I am, it's really hard to find people with that experience because not many people left here. He was one of 12 tattooers in the state where I am. Now there would probably be about.
Where are you at, bro?
I'm in Ballarat, so Ballarat's a town about an hour and a half from Melbourne CBD. So it's just there's about 100,000 people here. But yeah. Hey, with this call, I've got to wrap up this call, mate, and I'm gonna have to call you back just because the calls only go for an hour.
Okay.
So let's wrap it up now, and I'll call you back and we'll have a chat.
What time is it? 9:56. Okay. All right, bro.
I'll call you. Thanks everyone. Thanks for watching. I'll speak in a sec, say bro.
All right.